Okay, let's unpack this. Uh,
Yeah,
procrastination, it's that thing we all do, right? That gap between knowing what we should be doing and, well, what we actually do.
Totally. And it's funny, even the productivity experts, the people writing the books, they admit they struggle with it too.
Exactly. It's not just us mere mortals, but it often feels like a personal failing, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
why can't I just get this done? Loads of guilt.
Oh, definitely. We see it as this, unique flaw, like we lack discipline or something.
Right. And that whole feeling of being stuck, that's what we really want to get into today. Our mission, if you will, is to figure out why we do this and, more importantly, give you some solid, actionable ways to, fight back.
Get back in control of your time and that ever-growing to-do list.
Yeah. And we're using Damon Zahariad's book as our guide. It's called The Procrastination Cure: 21 Proven Tactics for Conquering Your Inner Procrastinator, Mastering Your Time, and Boosting Your Productivity. Bit of a mouthful, but it's packed with good stuff.
And looking at the bigger picture here, this isn't just about, checking off boxes faster. It's about cutting down that stress that comes with unfinished business.
Reclaiming time, feeling more satisfied, not having that constant nagging feeling.
Exactly. Freeing up mental energy.
So the book's basically in 3 chunks. Part 1 digs into the psychology behind it all.
The roots of the problem.
Then part 2 is the toolkit, 21 actual tactics you can try. Real practical stuff.
Yeah, the how-to part.
And then there's this interesting part 3 that even suggests maybe, just maybe, procrastination isn't always bad.
Yeah, that's a surprising twist, isn't it? We usually think of it as purely negative.
Right. But the book hints later that sometimes delaying a less important task might actually help you focus on what really matters. Strategic delay, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Freeing up bandwidth. But for today, we're really going to focus on understanding those root causes from part 1.
And pulling out some of the most useful, adaptable tactics from part 2. We want you walking away with things you can try, like tomorrow.
Absolutely. Understanding why you do it is powerful, but change comes from actually doing things differently, applying the strategies.
We want to bridge that gap for you.
Make it real.
So to kick things off, and just to show this isn't exactly a new problem, let's look at what some famous folks have said about procrastination over the years. Ben Franklin. He said, "You may delay, but time will not, and lost time is never found again." Ouch.
Stark reminder, right? Time just keeps ticking, whether we're ready or not. That potential for regret is real.
Then you got Charles Dickens, a bit more forceful. "Procrastination is the thief of time, collar him." He's basically saying, grab it, wrestle it down.
Yeah, that imagery is strong. Treat it like an actual enemy you need to capture. Don't let it sneak away with your time.
Shakespeare was more poetic, naturally. "In delay there lies no plenty." Kind of suggests putting things off limits our potential, our growth.
Yeah, it speaks to how inaction holds us back from achieving more, from, flourishing.
And Picasso, he really cuts to the chase. "Only put off until tomorrow what you are willing to die having left undone." Wow. That forces you to think about what truly matters, doesn't it?
It really does. It's like, if you're okay leaving this world with that task unfinished, maybe it wasn't that crucial after all. A harsh filter, but effective.
Okay, so clearly it's a universal struggle. It's been around forever. Smart people have wrestled with it. Let's get down to brass tacks now. What is procrastination, technically? And what's the actual cost beyond just missing deadlines?
Well, at its core, it's the habit of needlessly delaying important tasks, usually because we'd rather do something more fun or instantly rewarding.
Right.
The book gives some classic examples like, wanting that shiny new car now versus the less thrilling task of saving for retirement way down the line.
Or scrolling Instagram instead of hitting the books for a big exam.
Exactly. Or binge watching a show instead of exercising. It's that pull towards immediate pleasure.
It really comes down to how our brains are wired, right? We prefer the reward we can get now over some future benefit that feels kind of vague.
Precisely. Our brains love instant gratification, and this is the key point the book makes, just understanding that bias is the first step. Knowing that's our default helps us consciously fight it.
How? How do we fight it?
By trying to make those future benefits feel more real, more immediate in our minds now. We'll get into some tactics for that later.
Okay. And the author, Zahariad's, he's not just talking theory. He shares his own struggles, right? Both in corporate jobs and as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, very openly. He gives examples like putting off creating new products for his business, delaying tracking ad expenses, tedious but essential stuff.
Even putting off researching new opportunities, things that could actually grow his business.
And he's really clear that this wasn't harmless. He says his business suffered because of it. It's a strong reminder that procrastination has real-world consequences. It's not just a little personality quirk.
Yeah. He makes that point. Well, the tasks don't just disappear. They often get bigger, more urgent. And the cost isn't always obvious right away. It's like a ripple effect, he says.
That's a great way to put it. We feel the relief of avoiding the task now, but we ignore the ripples, the negative consequences that build up over time. Like a tiny leak you ignore until the ceiling caves in.
So let's break down those costs. The book puts them into 4 buckets for our personal lives: relationships, finances, health, and missed opportunities. Relationships first. How does putting things off hurt those?
Well, think about constantly saying you're too busy for quality time because you're always catching up on stuff you delayed. It sends a message, right, that other things are more important. Over time, that can really erode connection, lead to resentment.
Yeah, I could see that. And finances, we touched on the new car versus retirement thing.
Right. But it's also smaller things, like putting off paying bills and getting hit with late fees, or not taking the time to research better savings accounts or insurance rates. Those little things add up and cost you real money over time.
And health. This one can be scary. The book talks about putting off exercise, leading to physical decline, maybe even heart problems.
And the example of delaying a colonoscopy, that really hits hard. It shows how procrastination, especially when it's about avoiding something uncomfortable or scary, can have potentially devastating, life-altering consequences.
It's not always laziness, is it?
Yeah,
Sometimes it's avoidance of something difficult.
exactly. Avoidance driven by fear or anxiety, even when facing it, is critical for our well-being.
And then missed opportunities. Putting off learning a new skill or networking or taking a calculated risk.
Yeah, you're basically closing doors on potential growth, on paths that could lead to a more fulfilling life or career. That leads to those what if regrets later on. What might have been if you'd just taken that first step you kept delaying.
And professionally, it's pretty obvious how it hurts. Tasks pile up, deadlines zoom past, productivity tanks.
Absolutely. The book connects those daily procrastination habits directly to your output and your ability to manage your workload. The more you put off, the less you achieve, and the harder it gets to manage your time because the backlog just keeps growing. It's a vicious cycle.
Okay, so the cost is real, often sneaky, and definitely worth tackling. Which leads us nicely into part 1 of the book, digging into why we procrastinate. The author stresses that understanding the reason is the crucial first step.
Totally. It's like trying to cure a disease by just treating the symptoms. You might feel better for a bit, but the underlying issue is still there. You need the diagnosis first.
The book goes through a whole bunch of common reasons, and reading them, I definitely saw myself in a few. Let's start with the big one, fear.
Fear is huge. A massive motivator, or in this case, demotivator.
Yeah.
The book focuses on 2 main types: fear of failure, and maybe less obviously, fear of success.
Fear of failure makes sense. Our egos are often wrapped up in succeeding, so the thought of messing up or not being good enough, it's tough.
Yeah, we take it personally, like, I failed, therefore I am a failure. The book suggests reframing failure not as a judgment, but as feedback.
Feedback, how so?
It's just information. It tells you what didn't work about that specific approach. So you adjust, you try something else. It's data.
I like that, like running experiments until one works. And that Michael Jordan quote is perfect. I've failed over and over and over again, and that is why I succeed. It flips the script on failure.
Exactly. It makes failure a necessary part of the journey, not the end of the road. The book also suggests facing the fear head on. Think about the absolute worst that could happen. Often, it's not as bad as the anxiety makes it feel.
Okay, but fear of success? That sounds weird. Why fear succeeding?
It often comes from deeper stuff. Feeling guilty like you don't deserve it. Or imposter syndrome, that feeling you're faking it and you'll be found out if you actually succeed.
So you subconsciously sabotage yourself. Make sure you don't succeed.
Pretty much. It looks like procrastination on the surface, but underneath, you're avoiding the success you claim to want. And the tricky part is we often don't even realize that's what's driving it.
Huh. Okay. Another big one. Perfectionism. I know this trap well. You want it to be perfect, so you never start. Or you fiddle endlessly and never finish.
The author shares his own battles with this. He says it just led to more procrastination, tons of stress, frustration, misery, basically. And he makes a key point. It's often a symptom of procrastination, not just a drive for excellence. It's a way to avoid being judged on imperfect work.
That Anne Lamott quote nails it. Perfectionism is the voice of the oppressor. It's so self-critical.
Yeah, the goal should often be good enough or done, not some mythical standard of perfection. You can always improve it later, but you need something first.
Then there's just feeling totally overwhelmed. Your list is a mile long. You don't know where to start. So
Yeah.
you don't. You just freeze.
So common, right? Life throws so much at us. The anxiety builds, and ironically, that anxiety stops you from doing the very things that would reduce the overwhelm.
What about laziness? Is that a real reason?
The book argues that what looks like laziness usually isn't a lack of motivation, because motivation comes and goes for everyone. The real difference is the habit of taking action.
Ah, so it's about building the habit of doing things even when you don't feel like it.
Exactly. And the good news is, habits can be learned. It's not some fixed personality trait. You can build that action muscle over time.
Okay, that's encouraging. Boredom is another one. Seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to get a boring task over with quickly?
You'd think so, but sometimes the sheer monotony makes us seek out anything more stimulating. The author mentions procrastinating on a blog post just because the topic bored him.
So how do you fight boredom procrastination?
The book suggests changing the task somehow. Find a new angle, use different skills, maybe collaborate with someone, or gamify it, make it a challenge.
Gamify, like time yourself doing the dishes.
Yeah, or try to beat your previous record for finishing expense reports. Turn it into a little competition with yourself. It injects some interest.
Clever. Okay, then the obvious one. Aversion to hard work, or tasks without a quick payoff. We like instant results.
Totally. Washing the car gives you that immediate shine. Cleaning your inbox feels instantly productive. It's much harder to stick with exercise or building a business where the rewards are way off in the future.
So what's a workaround for those long-term things?
Create a system. Break the huge goal down into small daily actions. Focus on just doing today's small step, not the giant mountain ahead. Build momentum with small wins.
Focus on the process, not just the distant prize.
Yeah.
Got it. What about negative self-talk, that inner critic?
A huge factor. That voice telling you you're not good enough, you'll probably fail anyway. It just sucks the motivation right out of you. It erodes self-belief and makes you hesitant to even try.
So you need to challenge that voice.
Yes. Identify the negative thoughts, question if they're actually true, and consciously try to accept compliments and acknowledge your own strengths. Retrain that inner dialogue.
Accepting compliments can be surprisingly hard.
It really can, if you're used to beating yourself up. But it's part of rebuilding that self-faith.
Okay, uncertainty. Not knowing how to start or missing information, that definitely makes me want to put things off.
Yeah, the discomfort of the unknown makes us flee to distractions. The advice: take any first step, just to get moving, even a tiny one. Reassess if you're unsure of the best path, and figure out the simplest way to get the info you need, even if asking feels awkward.
Just break the inertia. Any action is better than no action.
Pretty much. You learn and adjust as you go.
What about struggling to make decisions? Analysis paralysis.
Oh yeah, that's a killer for action. The author talks about agonizing over restaurant choices, then realizing the decision itself mattered less than just enjoying time with friends. Often, any decent decision is better than none. Overthinking leads to missed chances.
Just pick something and go. You can usually course correct later.
Exactly. Avoid getting stuck in limbo.
And that constant lure of instant gratification. Choosing the easy pleasure now over the future benefit.
It's wired deep. The shopping spree feels better now than the abstract idea of retirement security. Watching TV feels better now than mowing the lawn. The danger is when it becomes a habit, constantly pulling you off track from bigger goals.
You have to be mindful of those choices, right?
Yeah.
Weigh the fleeting pleasure against the long-term cost.
Precisely. Develop that awareness.
Another sneaky one. Lack of perceived consequences. If nothing bad happens immediately when you put it off,
It's easy to do it again and again. The author admits he did this, convincing himself the cost was minimal until it wasn't. We forget that procrastination always has a cost, even if it's delayed.
and finally denial. Some people just don't think they procrastinate or they feel powerless over it.
Yeah, they convince themselves it's not a problem or it's just who they are. The book actually has a self-assessment quiz to help you get honest about your own habits.
A reality check. Okay, that's a lot on the why. Let's shift gears to the how. Part 2. 21 ways to beat your inner procrastinator. The author says commitment and knowing your triggers are key first steps, right?
Absolutely. You have to want to change, and you need to know what you're changing. Which triggers are strongest for you based on what we just discussed? This isn't passive reading, it's about applying these tactics.
Let's dive into some highlights. Tactic #1. Eat that frog first. This is a classic, Mark Twain's idea, right? Do the worst thing first.
Exactly. Tackle the task you're dreading most first thing in the morning. The author used doing laundry first to build momentum, the benefit. Huge sense of accomplishment early on, less stress all day, and other tasks feel easier. If you have multiple frogs, eat the biggest, ugliest one first.
Get it off your plate, off your mind. Love it. Tactic #2 is similar but smaller scale. Do in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, this tackles that getting started hurdle. Tasks often seem bigger in our heads. Commit to just 10 minutes, declutter one corner, write one paragraph. Often that's enough to break the inertia and you find yourself continuing.
Lowers the bar to entry. Tricks your brain into starting. Nice. Tactic #3, reward yourself.
This is about linking unpleasant tasks with immediate rewards. Make it more appealing. Match the reward to the effort. Small break for a small task. Maybe reading a novel after a big chore. It's basic positive reinforcement.
Creating that instant gratification we crave, but tying it directly to getting something done. Smart. Tactic #4, fill up your calendar. This is for when too much free time leads to procrastination.
Exactly. Big blocks of unscheduled time can be dangerous. The idea is to proactively schedule tasks from your master list into specific time slots. It creates structure, encourages progress, and stops important things drifting indefinitely.
Gives your day a roadmap, basically. Less chance to wander off track.
Huh.
Tactic #5, prioritize ruthlessly. This feels critical.
Oh, it is. We often procrastinate on important stuff by keeping busy with easy, low-impact tasks. You have to prioritize based on your goals. Use a system numbers, letters, colors, whatever works to identify what truly matters and tackle that first. Resist the lure of the trivial. Successful people do this constantly.
Work smarter, not just busier. Focus energy where it counts. Tactic #6 is interesting. Create to-do lists with only 3 items. Seems counterintuitive.
It does, but long lists can be overwhelming, leading to paralysis. The author found limiting his daily list to just 3 main tasks increased focus and reduced stress. Fewer items feels manageable, less likely to trigger that buried alive feeling that fuels procrastination.
Quality over quantity. Focus and control. I like it. Tactic #7. Apply Parkinson's law.
Right, the idea that work expands to fill the available time. So give tasks less time, set shorter, maybe slightly challenging deadlines, even self-imposed ones. Seek accountability. That time pressure can force focus and overcome the urge to delay.
Creates artificial urgency. Kills perfectionism too, maybe. Tactic #9 tackles boredom again. Make boring work fun.
If a task is just dull, gamify it. Set time records, reward improvements, find ways to make it a challenge or inject novelty. Beat your own score on that boring report. Make it a game, not just a chore.
Inject some playfulness. Okay, tactic #14 is huge today. Eliminate distractions.
Distracting environments are procrastination playgrounds. TV on, cluttered desk, and online. The book cites a study saying nearly half our online time can be procrastination. So be deliberate, disconnect the internet for focus blocks, use website blockers, create a distraction-free zone.
Essential for deep work. Tactic #15. Use the time chunking method, like Pomodoro.
Similar, yeah. It's about breaking work into focused chunks with scheduled breaks. Plan your tasks, assign time blocks, work uninterrupted, then take a real break. Makes big projects feel less daunting. A 4-hour report becomes manageable chunks. The promise of a break helps you push through. Use a timer.
Structure and recovery built in. Prevents burnout.
Yeah.
Tactic #16. Eliminate as many unnecessary tasks as possible.
We hide from hard tasks by doing easy, trivial ones. This says, scrutinize your list. Schedule essential but not urgent stuff, but ruthlessly cut tasks that don't serve your goals. Review your list daily what can go.
Be ruthless with your time. Only do what matters. Tactic #17. Focus on one task at a time. No multitasking.
Nope. Multitasking kills focus, increases errors, lowers productivity, and it's often procrastination in disguise, staying busy on small things while avoiding the big one. Clay Shirky said, multitasking moves the pleasure of procrastination inside the period of work. Ouch. Develop the single-tasking habit.
Give one thing your full attention. Better results, less stress. Tactic #18 circles back. Purge negative self-talk.
We covered why it's bad fuels fear of failure, erodes confidence, makes you reluctant to try, consciously challenge that inner critic. Be kinder to yourself.
Cultivate self-compassion. Got it. Tactic #19 is pretty extreme. Limit your options to 1.
If multiple options tempt you away from work, remove them. Like Victor Hugo locking away his clothes so he had to write. Eliminate everything unrelated to the task at hand. Make starting the only easy option.
Engineer your environment for focus. Remove temptation. Tactic #20. Figure out why you're procrastinating. Self-awareness again.
Crucial. Different triggers need different cures. Fear needs different handling than boredom or overwhelm. Monitor yourself for a couple of weeks. When you procrastinate, stop. Ask why. Write it down. Understand your patterns.
Know thyself, procrastinator. And finally, tactic #21. Prune your to-do lists regularly.
Keep those lists lean. Cluttered lists feel overwhelming. Regularly review master and daily lists. Remove things that are done, irrelevant, or no longer important. Keep it actionable and manageable.
Keep it from becoming a source of anxiety itself.
Okay.
Wow. And there are a few bonus tactics too, right? Temptation bundling.
Yeah, coined by Catherine Milkman. Pair something you want to do with something you should do, like only listen to your favorite podcast while exercising, or only watch Netflix after you've cleaned the kitchen. Use the want as a direct reward for the should.
Leverage that desire for treats. I like that. What about commitment devices?
These are ways you lock yourself into action. Make it harder to back out, like Cortez burning his ships. Less dramatically, you could tell a friend your deadline for accountability, or use an app that blocks distracting sites, or even set up a financial penalty if you fail. Your rational self outsmarting your impulsive self.
Create consequences to keep yourself on track. And the last one, active procrastination. Sounds risky.
It is a bit nuanced. It's not delaying tasks for fun, that's passive procrastination. It's intentionally putting off a lower priority task to work on something more important or urgent. People who do this well tend to thrive under pressure and are good prioritizers.
So you're still being productive, just shuffling priorities.
Exactly. Some experts argue all procrastination is bad, a failure of self-regulation, but the book suggests this active kind can boost productivity if done right. But definitely get passive procrastination under control first, before trying this.
Yeah, seems like an advanced move. Needs self-awareness.
For sure. And the big theme across all these tactics is that taking action is a habit. It takes time. Start small, be consistent.
Okay, that was a fantastic deep dive into procrastination thanks to David Zahariadis' book. So, to wrap up, it's universal, but understanding the roots, fear, perfectionism, overwhelm, all that is key.
And then you have this amazing toolkit of practical strategies, from eating frogs to time chunking to bundling temptations. Lots to experiment with.
The main thing is figuring out your personal triggers and finding the tactics that work for you, right? It's not one size fits all.
Exactly. It's a journey of self-discovery and trying things out.
So here's a thought to leave you with. Now that you've heard all this, what's one frog, just one task you've been putting off that you'll commit to tackling first thing tomorrow?
Just picking one small thing can start building momentum. And if you want to dive deeper or share your own journey, the author, Damon Zahariadis, actually invites people to email him. It's damon@artofproductivity.com.
That's great. Remember, you really do have the power to change this stuff, to get control back. We've laid out a roadmap based on the book. Now it's about taking that first step.
It might not be easy, it won't happen instantly, but commitment and applying these strategies consistently, that will definitely lead to progress. Can do it.